For Aristotle, there are several layers to our soul, to our psyche. The first one is the layer that plants have, the vegetative layer. It's concerned with growth and nutrition. And there is an animal layer above this. There's animals, in addition to growth and nutrition, morphogenesis and so on, have perception and decision making. And the human soul, in addition to the animal soul, is characterized by our ability to make sense of the world, to reason about it, to reflect it at a high level and build abstractions over it. And these things together, in Aristotle's perspective, make up the human soul. And it's a perspective that is still, I think, quite much the null hypothesis in our science. And for me, it's also mostly the perspective that I take when I look at the world. But the soul is, in this sense of Aristotle, the self-organizing causal pattern, the agentic software that determines the structure and function and dynamics of the biological organism. And to make this happen, it needs to implement multiple layers of functionality. Right? There needs to be some kind of message passing between cells. The individual cells need to communicate with each other in such a way that they understand what's being communicated across them. So in the sense that they perform a predictable function and can adjust their function if this is not achieved, so they may have to learn to some degree. For learning, you need some kind of reward protocol. You need the cells need to understand or have a measure of which software they should run at the expense of what other software they could also be running in the same time. There needs to be an architecture that makes that decision some kind of market that says which spirits are being run on which group of cells. There needs to be some kind of protocol that assigns semantics to the patterns that move across the cells, some kind of language of thought. And there needs to be a model what's good for the organism that the cells are composing, right? Some kind of valence model for the organism that says, oh, for the organism itself, not just for the computation, this is what the organism should be doing. So, for instance, look for food or look for a mate or deal with the fact that your mate has left you. And world and self-model of the host need to be constructed on it, right? So the host organism needs to have a model of what it's like to be in the world and what it's like to be itself and what it should be doing with this. And there needs to be some kind of reflexive model where the organism can model what that it's actually making these models and how to improve this. And which of these tasks involve consciousness? I don't really know. So I don't know at which level you have this organization where something is self-reflexive and colonizes actively from this single point of coherence where an observer is manifesting and then uses itself, its own observational coherence to start to make sense of the rest of the world around it. So there might be some layers which are more mechanical and less intelligent, and at some level of organization you have this. It could be that there is a form of consciousness on multiple levels, but they don't talk to each other. In the same way as, for instance, my body seems to have a mind of its own, right? And it is talking to my brain, but my brain is using a different code. It talks in spike trains, and it does not sense the same things that my body is sensing outside of my brain. And so my brain has its own consciousness, and I don't know if my body is conscious, but it does seem to have a degree of sentience, an ability to make sense of the world and have feelings of its own. So when we look at the functions of consciousness in our mind, we observe that we have contents, which are projections of features and objects and scenes that are projected into a self that cares about them. And the self is like a puppet that is pulled with strings. And these strings, basically, we experience them and they pull on us like as feelings, as emotions. We have an unconditional reaction to them that pulls the puppet that we are, this self that is experiencing it's exposed to a world, which is a game engine running in my brain that projects all of you into me based on the dimensions that I care about. And when the strings pull on me, it means that my outer mind is making a decision that I should care about this, that my alignment should change in a particular way. And I have an involuntary reaction to being pulled by these strings. I get into a new configuration, I have a new problem to solve, and the outcome of my modeling, of my attempts at problem solving, sometimes inform the behavior of the organism. So I observe myself trying to deal with the problem that the outer mind is positing to me. I come up with a solution, and then sometimes I observe my body doing the thing that I intended to do. And this way I also construct my own illusion of being able to control my body.